Hello and welcome to the Rose Rehash in Paradise. I'm Jared Freid. Every week after the Bachelor in Paradise, we come on and do our one big story from the show. We give out superlatives and then I give out awards and then take your audience questions. What a juicy week of Bachelor in Paradise. There's really only one story to talk about, but it is the theme of the week. Who's here for love? Who's here for followers? Who made a plan before they came so that they could stay on the show as long as possible? That it is almost Shakespearean what has gone on this week on The Bachelor in Paradise. It is very emblematic of the times. It is breaking the fourth wall of Instagram that exists on these reality shows, and we're living in it. They're admitting to it, and I love it. So listen, before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, comment below with your thoughts and opinions on this week's episodes. Make sure you let me know what you think, agree, disagree. That's all okay. This is a discussion. This is really one guy's opinion, but the whole story is Brendan and Piper. Brendan had been dating on the show Natasha. Natasha is fantastic. I have been a Natasha fan from minute one that she's been on this whole thing. When she came on The Bachelor, I remember doing a review of her profile, and I remember saying, this is going to be a fun person to have on the show, and she's been that from minute one. So on this whole franchise, Natasha's been a pleasure. So Brendan is known as Hottie McHotterson. He's the most wanted guy on the beach, and him and Natasha kind of hit it off, but you felt that there was something off. And I remember last week, Brendan and Natasha kiss, and Natasha made a big deal out of it, but the kiss wasn't it didn't seem passionate. It felt like friends kissing. And you start to wonder, you're like, what's going on? And this rumor occurs that Piper and Brendan have a relationship prior to the show. And that is why Brendan is holding back from Natasha. Natasha seems to know a little bit about it, but it is considered a rumor and hearsay. Piper shows up. Piper is immediately greeted by Serena. Now, Serena and Piper, if you're friends, Serena is a little bit involved with this. Serena has to know something. How close is Serena and Piper? Because Serena beelines it to Piper. Now Piper jumps on and she says she wants to take Brendan on a date. Fine. Okay. We're all a little suspect though because the rumor existed. Now, in my mind, there were three things that were possibilities, and I wrote them down. I can believe, and in the beginning, I believed that Brendan and Piper had hooked up and that Brendan and Piper, maybe and this is my issues. This is my pre-existing, assumptions of how things go. And I'm willing to be wrong because I was wrong, but I'm saying this was my mindset going in. I thought Brendan and Piper hooked up. Piper got a little carried away, said it was more than it was. Brendan was like playing aloof and just thought of it as a hookup. And then he went on. That is the one I could believe the most. And that's just me. And it looked that way in the beginning. And then the more they kept talking, I started to be willing to believe that they had hooked up and it was a see you there situation. Yeah, we've hooked up. This is nothing. I'll see you there. So I can believe Piper got a little bit more into Brendan, told people that they were kind of dating. Brendan didn't really see it that way. I'm willing to believe that Piper and him hooked up, but they both kind of like, I'm going on this show. We'll see you there. I would never have believed that Brendan and Piper were in some sort of actual relationship, planned to go on the show together at different times and to be able to stay on as long as possible to get followers together and screwing over Natasha at the same time. I wouldn't have believed that. And that is exactly what occurred. Brendan attached himself to Natasha, knew that she liked him more than he liked her, waited until Piper got there. Piper got there. They said, okay, now it's us two. We'll trade roses until the end of time as we pick up followers because we're two hotties, and that's who people follow. And fuck Natasha. I guess she'll figure out her own way from here. And that's fucked up. And even more fucked up was Brendan then saying, well, I was helping Natasha because she didn't have other options here. Well, you didn't allow her to have other options here. And I talked about this on Bachelor Party podcast with Juliet Littman. You should all go check it out. And I was kind of still working through my thoughts at the time. And it is so damning of Brendan. And I do believe Brendan is like, I actually come from the belief, and you can disagree or not, and I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. Piper is more involved in this as the brains of the operation, and Brendan was kind of like the muscle. He was like, in this whole game. It's like a mob boss who's the thinker, and then the mob boss who's the strong person. Brendan's the strong person. He seems too stupid to come up with all this, and that's why all his reasoning sounded so dumb and horrible. And Natasha, you have to give her so much credit. She stayed calm, cool, collected. She asked questions like she was a detective. At one point, she had the hat on like she was Dick Tracy, and she got us to the truth. She gets him on, so you hung out twice or 12 times. And Brendan's like, well, it wasn't twice, but it was 12. And you traveled to where? Did she ever visit you in Boston? He goes, yeah, she visited me twice in Boston, but we've hung out 12 times. It's like, gotcha. You're done. You're a liar. And so this situation is an admission that people are, I am not living in a world where none of these people come on for followers. I do believe all of them come on for followers. I think we all know that. The difference is it's like when you're dating someone and they say, I don't want a relationship, but I'll still fuck you. That's kind of, the bloom is off the rose at that point. Now you have to be willing to fuck them. And that, us as an audience, we don't want to hear that you're here for just followers. We don't want to hear that you're playing a game and that you're acting when you're not even a good actor. And that's kind of the difference between this last episode where we had Chris and Alana. Chris is dating Jasenia. Jasenia and Chris walk into this VIP dance. Alana walks in. Within 3 seconds, Chris is making out with Alana. Alana, I don't know what the fuck her name is. Okay. Now you have a situation where it feels like the Walmart version of Brendan and Piper are trying to pull the same thing, but it doesn't feel as plotted. I have to say, in my opinion, the Brendan Piper one felt very plotted. The Chris Alana thing felt like two people who had hooked up before and were going to hook up again. And then they were like, let's just stay on. And Alana, because you saw at the end, Alana didn't know what she was getting in for. Alana thought they're going to make out. Maybe the next time she gets the rose, she'll give it to somebody else. She didn't see this as a plotted out thing. And it kind of felt like Chris and Alana were paying the bill that Brendan and Piper racked up. And even Natasha said it. At the end, Natasha looks at him and goes, how are we not ganging up against Brendan and Piper right now? Why are we only kicking off Chris and Elena? And you have to wonder, you go, what is this all about? Why does Jasenia get the team behind her? There was a lot of hypocrisy at the end. Even Riley, who's sitting there going, well, you know, if you came to find a girl, you found your girl, now leave. He's doing that while Marissa's around his arm and he's kissing her on the forehead. So you have a girl, why don't you leave? So they're all there for followers. They just want it done while you continue the lie that you're there for love. And Chris and Elena did it the worst of anyone. Brendan and Piper did it a little bit better, but they did it also in a worse way. They're better. Brendan and Piper are better liars. They didn't do it better though. They were bigger dicks than Chris and Elena. Also, to defend Chris, to separate Chris from Brendan, Brendan was with Natasha from day one. She didn't get a chance. Jasenia, let's not forget, She was with Ivan, dropped him like a bad habit, and then went to Chris. So she did have a chance to go find love. She did kind of dance around the beach. So it is an interesting play of what we allow, what we don't allow, that Brendan and Piper are still here, while we kicked out the Walmart version of them. Does it have to do with looks? Does it have to do with your stature on the show? Because Brendan might have more followers than Chris and Elena combined. Are we letting him and Piper, because they have more followers, stay, and we're getting rid of the people that have no following at all? I don't know. These are all relevant things to ask. But I will say, Natasha, I need her to stay on this show. I need her to stay on and play detective. She is the voice of the audience at this point in the show. Let's give out superlatives. Okay. Let's do most eligible. The hottest person on this island right now is Deandra. Deandra came dressed to the VIP party. She literally wrapped herself in Kleenex tissues and was like, I'm ready. And I'm sitting at home being like, I couldn't even believe what was before my eyes. Deandra, you're a vision. She is the most eligible on this whole island. I don't know why every guy should be leaving theirs to go to her. The host with the most. Titus came on to this show fantastically. It was everything I wanted out of Titus. He walked in. He was a breath of fresh air. He was fun. He everything about Titus was great. And I love that he had a VIP party and he acted like this was a real party and there'd be real VIPs. And I just loved everything. I wanted more Titus. I'm upset with the amount that they're giving to the host of this show. We need a host. Whether it's Wells or Titus, somebody should be questioning these people while they're around the bar saying, wait a minute, why are we letting Chris and Elena take the brunt and not Brendan? Like, they legitimately all got together and cheers to the end of Chris and Elena. Brendan and Piper were in on that cheersing. There should be a host there at that moment going, hey, we have to talk about these two here. I want more Titus. Loved Titus on the show. Every minute I savored. I thought he was fantastic. We're going to move on to the strongest relationship. Couple of the night. Couple of the nights got to go to Marissa and Riley. And I mentioned them before, but Riley legitimately kissed her on the forehead before going to the VIP party. If you're kissing someone on the forehead, you either are going off to war or you're going off for a month-long stay in Alaska, or you're in a black and white movie, or you're in a Hallmark movie. You're in love. If you're kissing on a forehead, you're in love. So that has to be the strongest relationship that we have. And then the class clown. Tonight's class clown has to go to Demi. Demi's understanding of what should keep Kenny liking her is just a miscalculation. Demi repeated, I'm fun. I'm so much fun. That's not all that's going to go into someone liking you. And then she tried to pit herself against Mari, which isn't the play. The reality is, it's not about you or Mari. It's about Mari is the match or not, or you are the match or not. It's you versus the match, not you versus the person. So to put down Mari as if she's not great, she's mean, and I'm so fun, that does nothing for Kenny's penis. Here's the reality. You have had sex with Kenny already, and Mari has not. And that's a sad reality, but it is the truth. So your miscalculation is just laughable to me. Let's give out some awards. Now the Batchies is where I give out coconuts to my favorites and crabs to my least favorite.
Ouch.
Let's start with the coconuts. My first coconut is going to go to Alana. Alana is the bad guy on this episode. Alana shows up, makes out with Chris 5 seconds after showing up. They seem to have DM'd. They seem to have a history. They screw over Jasenia. I got to give Alana credit for being totally honest at the end. It is not every day that you see, because she gets in the car. Basically, Chris is like, we got to leave. And she's like, I don't have to leave. And he's like, do you want to leave with me? And she's like, well, you're just going to leave me alone and everyone's going to hate me? And he's like, well, we have to leave then. And then she gets in the car and Chris goes to join her in the car and she's like, no, you're out. The plan's over. Our business partnership is done. I'll see you in San Diego at the bars when I ignore you. Love that level of honesty. The next coconut is going to go to Aaron. Angry Aaron got to watch Tammy upset because Thomas went on a date with Becca. I love this. I love that Aaron showed no remorse. Aaron is exactly who I thought he was. He saw that Tammy was upset. He said, that's good. Happy. Taster of her own medicine. Now you see what this guy's all about. He'll leave you at the drop of a dime. I told you. And I like that Aaron just has a lot of pettiness to him. And he was happy to see Tammy crying when he had no remorse for Tammy getting left by Thomas to go to Becca. And I like that about Aaron. The last coconut goes to Natasha. Natasha, you were calm, cool, and collected in a situation that I don't think anyone would have been. You questioned everybody. You got all the facts to create a case to show the audience that Brendan and Piper are two people on this show solely to screw over anyone they can to get to 100,000 followers. And now you're winning. We're seeing that their Instagram following is going down. Natasha, yours is going up, and you deserve it. I don't even think that's what you came on the show for. But Natasha, the way you played this out was professional. It was seriously, it was out of a Dick Tracy. You were a detective. You asked the right questions. It was Shakespeare. It was perfect. Chef's kiss. Let's give out some crabs. The first crab is going to go to Riley.
Ouch.
Riley, you're getting the crab because you're literally arm in arm. You are locked arms with your girl that you kissed on the forehead earlier that night, screaming about how, hey, Chris, you found your girl. You guys are all set. It's time to go. Well, Riley, if that's the case, if the moment you find the girl of your dreams, you leave, then maybe you should leave with Marissa right down the aisle and go buy a house together and get married. What's left? You're locked in arms. You're kissing foreheads. Just your argument doesn't stand. The next crab is going to go to Chris.
Ow!
Chris, we didn't know you when you got here. We didn't really care to know you on the show. And we really didn't care that you left. And you made a fool of yourself. You showed up on the show. You locked arms with Jasenia. Then the minute your girl shows up, you didn't even take the time to be a good liar. You just start making out with her. Then the next day, you're moping around as if you're the victim, as if you're the one that someone kissed in front of you. You made this all happen just because you're realizing that you look like a bad guy. At that point, play the villain. Put on the black hat. Be the villain. Be the heel. Be Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Don't sit there and go, oh, I'm just so sad. Nobody likes me. You made the wrong decision. Go with it. Don't sit there and be halfway. The last crab goes to both Brendan and Piper. You're Bonnie and Clyde, and it's still going. You had me. I believed the lie. And then it took Natasha with great detective work to unearth the two of you looking for a following, which, listen, I have no problem with looking for a following. But then don't tell us that you're helping Natasha by being with her. No, you're not. She could have found someone on her own. Don't tell us on social media. Piper puts a post up today that we're seeing an edited version. What aren't we seeing, Piper? What have we missed? How did they edit you talking about Us Weekly and how your followers went up? How did they edit it? What are we missing? How did they edit Brendan saying that he did Natasha a favor? I don't understand what was on the chopping, what was on the editing floor. What got chopped off this show? Tell us. Don't do a vague statement of you're seeing TV. What really happened is who I really am. Then tell us who you really are. Tell us what we missed. You didn't, because we didn't miss anything. You planned this. It's okay. Own it. Let's get some audience questions. Let's do one. Will anyone give Natasha a rose? I hope so. I don't think, if you have a question, you can tag me at Jared Freid in the comments, and I'll answer your question. I hope someone does. I don't know who that would be. I mean, maybe James, because he's kind of been on the sidelines. But right now, we haven't seen her really. I mean, even at the end of this episode, she's more defending herself. She's still trying to figure out why Chris and Elaine are getting sent home and not Brendan and Piper. So it feels like, and if I were her, I would be the same way, where I'm like, get me away from all this. I just need these two to be shown for what they are. Any others? Shana Tova. Happy New Year. Back next week. Boom.